You have the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE 5G, and here are all the ways to help your battery last a long time between charges and for the lifetime of your phone and battery. Let's get into it. All right, most people don't know this, but the number one way to make your battery last a long time is that as soon as your phone is done charging, whether you use wire and more importantly, wireless, and I'll tell you in a second, because if you leave it plugged in after it's charged, watch what happens. This is what happens. Samsungs are notorious for this, and it's because you leave your charger plugged in. What happens is that the electricity keeps going to the battery, the chemical reaction keeps going, it never stops, and it leads to that puffiness, which then your phone will stop being able to charge all the way, and then it won't even power on. So the lesson is, always unplug your charger, always remove it from the wireless charging stand to help your battery. Let's move on. All right, the next three are the biggest battery savers for in-between charges, which then will help your battery lifetime last longer. Okay, the very first one most people might be familiar with, go to display. And by switching to dark mode, there's two things that are going to happen. Number one, you're going to save a ton of battery. Conservative estimates are 7 to 10%, but it can be anywhere upwards of 30% or more, obviously depending on how you use your screen. Okay, if you don't like dark mode and you go to light mode, the best way to save battery here is just to turn the brightness down. Now let's go back to dark mode, and another benefit is that, see where it's jet black? There is no power going to those pixels. So some of the Samsung phones are notorious for starting to get that bleed in where there's a red shadow. This will help also delay or prevent that totally. So two things you're benefited by. Your battery lasts longer, your screen lasts longer. Let's move on. All right, the next thing is turning off radios. So most people are familiar with Bluetooth is a radio. So if you don't use Bluetooth, obviously you can turn that off very easy. But what's this? Near field communications and contactless payments. You can read what all that is, but if you don't use it, just turn it off. It's another way to save battery. Okay, this one's going to blow your mind. We're going to go to more connection settings inside connections. Watch this. Nearby device scanning. Touch that. You can pause and read that or read on your phone. If you never have to do that, just turn that radio off, save some battery. And this is the weirdest one. There is always a radio looking to print. See, check that out. It's searching for printers. If you never print from your phone, turn that off. And that is another way. This is the second most powerful way to save battery. Let's move on. Almost forgot one more radio. If you are always at home and you don't need like Google Maps, or you don't shop like, hey, where is gasoline cheap near me, that kind of thing, or where Chipotle nearest me, hit location and you can turn your location radio off, saving even more battery. All right, let's move on. All right, here's another one. Let's say the third best way to save battery. We're going to jump in display and we're going to touch motion smoothness. Now you can read that and you can also experiment and see what you like. So the default is 120 hertz. The standard is 60 hertz. Hertz, this refers to your screen refresh rate, which is how many times per second your screen gets a brand new picture. So obviously if you're big into gaming, lots of videos, that kind of thing, you might only like it if it's on high. But if you don't need it, click on standard, turn that refresh rate down to 60, and you'll save a ton of battery. Let's move on. All right, now that we got the biggest three out of the way, let's jump into our battery settings and learn how the actual software on the phone helps us. So we're going to device care, we're touching battery, and there's a couple settings here. So you can explore with power savings, which sometimes you might have to turn on, but there's all these extra features inside here that helps you save battery depending on what you need. It can turn off always on display, limit CPU, decrease your brightness. There's all these things that already are built in the software to help you save battery. Okay, let's move on. This one's really important and most people don't want to do it, so let's touch battery protection. So it tells you specifically right here, keeping your battery full 100% charged for a long time can reduce its lifespan. Now you're going to have to jump in here and find out what works for you. I mean, maximum, your battery stops charging when it reaches 80%. Some people can live with that. some people need adaptive. Some people need adaptive, and some people need basic. So jump into battery protection, see which one works for you, and try it for a week or a month or two and see if your phone, if you can operate that way. All right, let's move on. Okay, we're still in battery, but now we've gone way down here at the bottom, and we're going to go to charging settings. There is some new research that's saying that if you have a really super powerful charger, that can decompose or it'll lead to your battery not lasting as long. So if you really want to maximize your battery life, consider turning off fast charging. All right, I think we're done with battery. Let's move on. All right, an easy one that's sometimes overlooked is making sure that your software is updated. So we're going to go to settings, software update, check for new update, and just do it every so often. Most of the new phones, they just tell you there's just going to be a notification up top. But sometimes the settings can help your battery efficiency. Sometimes it helps your phone run a little bit more efficient. And most importantly, it's going to protect your phone. All right, let's move on. Another one that people aren't so familiar with is to run your device maintenance every once in a while. So we're going to go to settings, scroll all the way down to here, device care. We went here to get to battery, but sometimes there is a little bit of there's an optimize button here. If your phone needs to run its own software, it's built in. It helps your phone run well. The other thing while we're here is we're going to touch storage, and you can clear out old files, and that will help your phone. It will run a little bit faster. It'll help with efficiency. It might not necessarily extend your battery life, but it'll definitely help your phone run a little bit better. So let's touch trash. Let's go to gallery. And if you have old videos, old photos, that kind of thing, hit edit, select them all, and just erase everything. Your phone's going to run a little bit better. Let's see if the device management allows us to then run optimize. Come out of storage. Let's see if that refresh, or let's get out one more time. Nope, we're good. All right, let's move on. Another one people sometimes don't think about is erase old apps that you don't use. If you don't play a game anymore, or if you use like a video editing software that you don't use anymore, settings, apps, and then just get rid of the stuff that you don't use. Let's see, Bingo Blitz, I'm going to erase that. So with things that you don't use, you can just hit uninstall, uninstall. It's that simple. All right, let's move on. All right, staying in apps. This is an oddball one. We're going to go to search. We're going to type ONE for one, and we're looking for One UI Home. Inside of one, so the UI Home is everything that you touch on like your home screen, all of this and the speed of all of this. So when you go to the settings, if you go to the battery settings, read and understand there's 3 settings: unrestricted, optimize, and restricted. Restricted actually restricts the battery usage. So if you absolutely need to save battery, experiment with these settings inside the One UI Home. All right, let's move on. All right, this one's just cool looking. It won't save a ton of battery, but your phone will feel like it's running faster. So this one's cool because I can show the example before and after. So I'm going to just open up the dialer. So this works with any app. I want you to observe that the app opened as an animation like this, and now it's going to close like this. Now watch. It closed like that. One more time so you can see it. Open, close. Now let's turn that off. We can turn off those animations, and our phone is going to feel so much snappier. Accessibility is what we want inside of settings. It's down a little bit more to the bottom. Accessibility, and we're going to go to vision enhancements, and then we're going to go to reduce animations, and you can even experiment with this one, reduce transparency and blur. I'll do that. Now watch what happens. Open the dialer, it just blinks on. Close the dialer, blinks off. Do it one more time, blinks on, blinks off. So if you're someone who switches apps, make a video, do some social, watch a video, make a phone call, and you're switching back and forth between apps, your phone is going to feel like better than brand new. Try that, and if you really like how your phone runs, leave in the comments like my phone is faster, something like that. All right, let's move on. All right, this next one is for when your phone, you've been using your phone for a long time, is starting to feel bogged down. It gets a little glitchy, it gets a little slow. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear the partition cache, which is we're going to clear out all the temporary files. To do that, we need to power the phone off. Let's power the phone off. Power off. And now we have to enter the Android recovery menu, which is done by these external buttons. It's volume up and power. We're going to hold at the same time. I like to push volume up first, then power. We'll let go of both as soon as we see Samsung show up again. Just like that. And it's going to enter the Android recovery menu here real quick. Now, this is scary for some people because inside the Android recovery menu, that's how you wipe data factory reset. That will completely erase your phone. We don't want that. We want the one right below that, which is wipe the cache partition right there. Wipe the cache partition is safe. It is a standard measure when your phone's glitchy, slow, bogged down, that kind of thing. And it's going to clear out all the temporary files. It clears out no personal information. It doesn't do anything except clear out the temporary files. And as soon as the phone reboots, it remakes those necessary temporary files to make your phone run. But if your phone is just a little bit janky, try this. So we're going to press power for OK. One more time. This cannot be undone. I want to do it. Press power for OK, yes. And it takes just a few seconds. The cache wipe is complete. And now it is safe to reboot the system. Hey, if you've had your S21 for a while and it's just time to upgrade, right here is going to be my suggestions. I've got a link to this affiliate store. There's going to be you can go shopping directly at Samsung.com. And they give some great discounts. And then if you like to shop at Walmart, I'll leave some links for some Samsung available at Walmart. Most importantly, I hope this has helped you. And if it has, please like, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.